Okay, let's talk boxing. The boy Lomachenko. I think a couple weeks ago I said he's the best boxer in the lower divisions.
Well, he was arguably pound for pound number one. So yeah,
a man that fought over what someone said like hundreds of amateur fights, only lost once.
It's like 370 amateur fights.
And then the person he lost to, he beat two times.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say is that Lomachenko, there's some people that say it might be a draw.
Nah.
But from what I saw, he probably only won 5 rounds.
It's not a draw. I mean,
I don't think it's a draw.
To those
some people said it's a draw.
To those people, it's not a draw. I mean, if you had corrupt judges there, then maybe you could have found a draw from just how they found a draw for Canelo against Golovkin in the first go round. I mean, if you really want to give him a draw, you could have really given him one. Whatever. I mean, Matt Skillerman broke it down expertly, especially when it comes to boxing. It's anywhere between 8-4 to Lopez to, if you really want to be kind to Lomachenko, you could have found maybe 6-5 Lopez or maybe a draw. But I think, because if I remember correctly, Lopez won 5 of the first 6 rounds. Clearly.
Some people say he won the first 6.
He could have won first 6. Number 2 was a bit up and down, but he clearly won the 5 of the first 6 rounds. And he clearly won the 12th round. And 7th round is a bit up for grabs. 8-11, Lomachenko won. That's what is kind of strange, because Lomachenko, he only landed what was it?
He landed a greater percentage of the punches from, but Lomachenko...
He didn't throw enough.
He didn't throw enough, yeah.
He was
I think Lomachenko, if I watching back some of the highlights of the fight, I might have this my day. I think Lomachenko is the better boxer. I still think Lomachenko is the better boxer.
Well, in terms of skills
I think Lomachenko, if he had fought the way he fought from 8 he would have won. I don't think he came out
tentative.
Tentative. That's why Teofimo was gonna win.
He came out tentative.
He came out too tentative,
and he only landed like 31 of his punches throughout the first 7 rounds. That's crazy. That's a crazy amount of lack of output. And he came out tentative, but I have to give credit to Lopez. Lopez was giving him shots. That was touched him up around the body. It was aggressive. And I think Lomachenko, people could say he had a layoff for 14 months, but Lopez had a layoff for 10 months. So I'm not really going to go with that one. He got touched up, he got hit, he got tagged, he felt the power. Obviously, Lopez is a much bigger guy. I mean, Lopez he hydrated right up to welterweight, basically. Lopez in that fight, in fight night, actually in the ring, he was basically as big as a welterweight, to be fair. So that's 2 divisions above the lightweight division they were fighting for. And Lopez, he felt the power. Like Lopez has serious knockout power, especially at that size. And he felt it, and he was very tentative. And also coinciding with the fact that when Lomachenko fights, he likes to, a bit like Froberg, he likes to give, he likes to download information, give the look, or take a look of what he's seeing in front. But he was taking a look for too long. And then once he got touched and felt the power, got even more tentative. And it's kind of like a vicious cycle. Yeah, one led to another. And once he did get started, he was hitting Lopez, because Lopez, as good as he performs, his head movement is good, and he keeps his hands down a bit too much. And Lomachenko was really able to tag him. His footwork was still masterful when he came out. Like, Lomachenko's footwork is crazy, and you can see why in his earlier years that his dad forced him to do dance lessons for like 4 or 5 years. Like, apparently, he stopped boxing, just done dance lessons for 4 or 5 years.
Dance for 4 years.
And you can see in the footwork, because his footwork is one of the best I've ever seen.
I think Nasri did ballet.
He might have done. I mean, Nasri had good footwork as well for footballer, but Lomachenko's footwork is one of the best I've ever seen.
I think as a fighter, technically, I think Lomachenko is the best I've actually seen, like, box.
He's not better than Floyd.
I think technically, maybe not mentally. It's not mentally better than Floyd. I don't know why we're having this. I don't want to talk about Floyd. You keep bringing up Floyd. Maybe Floyd runs this thing. I said technically he's probably the best.
You say technically probably the best. He's not better than Floyd.
But you're just telling me about Floyd. I don't want to hear about Floyd.
No, but you said...
You're just saying he's not the best.
You said he's the best technically you've ever seen, Lomachenko, which is not a horrendous shout. I won't crucify you, but he's not better than Floyd technically. That's just the truth.
Technically, Floyd is the best mentally.
Floyd is the best.
Lomachenko is better technically.
Floyd is the best mentally. He's the best technically.
Okay, cool. He's got better footwork than
Lomachenko. No.
Okay, I'm talking about technically. You know.
Yeah, Lomachenko probably has better foot, but everything else.
Okay.
Everything else.
Hand speed,
Floyd Mayweather. Hands down, especially in his prime. Whoa, come on, man. It's like, hand speed Floyd Mayweather.
Hands.
Huh?
Got weak hands, boy.
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather when the second half of his career, he had weak hands. He didn't have the same knockout power that he had before, but. From a technical aspect, Floyd Mayweather is if you look at the people they fought, you look at their records, especially the early career. Floyd Mayweather's fought some real hitters, from his early career to even to his later career. Like his resume is deep.
What time?
From when he started. Like from
what time? What age was he?
He was a world champion.
No, but you remember
he was
he was opportunist with the way he was fighting.
What do you mean?
He was fighting guys at some strange at the tail end of the De La Hoya and Pacquiao. They fights at the tail end of their career.
No.
And he knocked that man out when he was like trying to give him the what was that time he knocked the guy out when he was trying to like they were trying to the fight was trying to like start again and they said touch gloves and he knocked him.
The Ortiz guy, because the Ortiz guy was headbutting him the whole fight.
That was a good fight though.
It was a good fight. I mean, the Ortiz guy was fighting dirty and Ortiz was trying to overly compensate and say sorry. He was hugging him out. So like, nah, just you gave him one punch and people say he doesn't have a knockback, knocked him down. Obviously, he wasn't expecting.
If I give you a punch like that,
obviously he wasn't expecting. But what's it called? The Pacquiao fight. He's older than Pacquiao, bro. So him being out of his prime. Or they're both been out of prime.
They're both out of their prime.
People trying to say you cook Pacquiao bad. He's older than Pacquiao, bro.
They're both out of their prime.
They're both out of prime. So
it's an old man's fight.
The what's it called? The De La Hoya fight. Okay, De La Hoya was 34. He was 30. I mean, he'd been chasing De La Hoya for a while. Didn't really get it, and he finally did. Okay, fair enough. I mean, Pacquiao when he fought De La Hoya, I think it was at a catch weight or something like that, and Pacquiao knocked him straight out. Or he cleaned him straight out. Or, no, De La Hoya retired. He saw something along them lines.
Pacquiao got knockout power.
He does have knockout power. That's the one clear thing he has of a Mayweather. I think that's the only thing he has of a Mayweather. Just clear.
I don't know, Mayweather, whatever. I don't want to talk about Mayweather. Let's move on.
The best athlete of our generation.
He's not the best athlete of our generation. We've had the discussion, bruv. You said, and people called you out. There's no way he's better than Bolt as an athlete.
He's better. In their respective sports, he is. I'm not saying he's. If you're talking
in their respective sports,
that's the way I define it. If you're talking about just general as you define an athlete, then yeah, I'll probably go with
Bolt. Is there anyone else that has a similar record to Floyd in boxing with his undefeated record? Yes.
Who?
I think Ricky Marciano. What's his name?
Well, how many world champions did he fight?
I don't know what bars boxing was.
That's it. That's why Floyd record's so unique. He's undefeated. He's fought the most world champions. He's defeated the most world champions. I think he's even fought the most linear world champions. His record is deep.
Wait, we can talk about that.
It's deep.
Then what about Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal?
They've
been facing world champions every single time, man.
Deep record.
As I said,
it's a deep record.
Floyd might make top 5, but he's not better than Usain Bolt as an athlete. In their respective sports.
If you don't have him in the top 5 athlete, then you're.
I said he's top 5.
If you don't have him in the top 5, you're drunk. You're actually drunk. You maybe got off the Hennessy over there. You're drunk.
Let me tell you something.
You're drunk.
Let me tell you something. Ronaldo, Messi.
He's above them for their respective sports. He is.
More people play football, and those two are ahead.
You already know. I don't even have Ronaldo. Messi not the greatest of all time for me anyway. So that's how it goes. For me, I'm
talking about greatest athlete right now, man. I'm not talking about your guy.
We're not talking
about your guy. Don't even mention him.
We're not talking about.
Don't even mention him.
Floyd Mayweather.
Pele's not better than Pepe.
Okay, here we go. Floyd Mayweather has.
Pele's not better than Pepe.
Floyd Mayweather has a much greater case to being the greatest in this sport than Messi and Ronaldo does. It's clear as day.
How about LeBron?
What about LeBron? Floyd Mayweather has a much greater case than LeBron to be the greatest in this sport than he does. He has a much greater case than.
You're saying the greatest in his respective sport?
Federer,
Nadal.
They
both have got the most Grand Slams.
And Djokovic, he has a greater case than all of them.
Okay, cool.
Until Federer and Nadal.
How about Bolt?
If Federer and Nadal, if one of them gets 21, then fair enough, it changes.
How about Bolt?
They're about equal in terms of being the greatest in their sport. I'll give it to him. Actually, to be fair, no.
How about Tiger Woods?
Let me go back to Bolt. Bolt is probably more clearly defined as greatest in this sport because it's actually frustrating. So yeah, I'll give it to Bolt.
Finally, after a week,
in terms of being the greatest in this sport, but overall, I'll still say better than protected sports.
I heard someone called you out. Someone called you out about the Bolt Mayweather.
What's his name? Ajayi.
What did you say?
He must have reposted our things. He put mug. I was like, okay. Yeah.
It's a bold claim.
It's not. If you understand Floyd Mayweather, to be honest, what I say, it's because people don't like him. That's why they just denigrate him. That's honestly it. If you actually understand what he's done in that sport, it's pretty much.
So is your reason for him be okay? If you put your criteria that he has a greater case for being the greatest in his respective sport than the other people.
Clearly, I mean, you could say Bolt, but the competition Bolt had, fair enough.
How about Michael Phelps?
The competition Michael Phelps had, fair enough. But the competitive sport that boxing is, Floyd Mayweather ran with the field. He ran with the field.
Is swimming not competitive?
It is, but I have to go into look at swimming. But Phelps was so far ahead of the field. It seems for so long. I mean, who knows? It's crazy.
It's quite an interesting one.
I mean, there's also Tom Brady. He's up there.
6 Super Bowls. Yeah.
There's someone else because I remember.
I think Angelo is probably the best American football player of all time.
That's true.
when it comes to that.
Is Tiger Woods better than Jack Nicklaus? I mean, Jack Nicklaus has
Nicholson's got more.
He has more Grand Slams.
Whatever.
Or majors, sorry.
Majors.
18, I think. Tiger Woods stuck on 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean...
But obviously what Tiger Woods represents outside of just golf is bigger. It's bigger. That's what I say. The pulling power, obviously. If we were talking about most known, Floyd is probably like...
Also, Floyd was a paradigm shifter. He changed the power from the promoters into the boxers. Be your own boss.
How about LeBron?
LeBron did that as well, to be fair. Give him credit as well, but not to the extent...
Do you think it's not much harder to dominate a team sport than a solo sport?
We said this before. We're going to go into depth in another episode. I think it's harder to dominate an individual sport. You have no help, G. So when you're having a bad day at the office, there's no one to bail you out. There's no Ray Allen, even though people like to over-exaggerate. There's no Ray Allen. There's no Scottie Pippen, or there's none of that, G.
So you have
there's no Edda in for what's called Ronaldo and Euros. There's no
Higuain to mess up their team.
There's no
Higuain. I hate Higuain the most. Out of any footballer it's Higuain has opened up this Ronaldo Messi debate. If he had just done his job,
I mean,
if he just done, we'll never ever have to talk about it again.
Messi's had 4 finals for Argentina. He's done nothing.
No, as I said, he had to do it with a bum. So the debate doesn't start with him.
There's no Sebastian Larsson or Eto'o to get Messi his first Champions League in 2006, which he didn't play in the basic.
I don't even know if I count that.
Or Messi counts that, or everyone else fans. They say he has 4 Champions League titles.
But all I know is that when Messi's performed better in finals over Ronaldo. And we talk about the UCL finals. You know what Ronaldo's done.
Overall finals, international finals is not as. I mean, yeah, Messi does have the slight edge, if I remember, because Ronaldo's international finals. I think he's been in 3 now. Actually, no, one of them got injured. The first year was against Greece. He was 18, didn't do much. And obviously the Nations League one, I can't remember who scored. Was it Bernardo Silva or maybe Fernandes? I can't remember. He didn't do as much as you were accustomed to see him. But it's all about between the ears, the intangibles that he's able to lead a team. But when the going gets tough, you just see Messi sulking.
One of them made it to Portugal. One of them wasn't in Portugal this Champions League.
Huh?
One of them made it to Portugal
and he got battered 8-2.
And one of them didn't.
8-2. Yeah, one of them got battered 8-2. One of them didn't.
One of them had to...
He was sulking, bro.
Both of their managers got.
You just saw Alphonso Davies just running past him, and the guy was just watching.
What can Messi do with Alphonso Davies?
Just sulking.
What can Messi do? What can you do?
Force him back.
What can anyone do?
Force him back.
Messi doesn't have athletic ability anymore.
Alphonso Davies should be afraid of Messi. He wasn't afraid of him, G. He was just running past him.
He's a passer now.
Messi should be striking.
He's so passive.
Actually, if you're a fullback coming against Messi, Messi should be striking.
Messi wasn't even playing.
Messi should be striking fear into you. Alphonso Davies had no fear that day.
Because they were winning.
Apart from maybe the first 20 minutes, he had no fear. Just running straight past him.
And in that first 20 minutes, Barcelona missed chances. Because it looked at one point like Barcelona could actually do something in that game.
Could have, yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Messi, Ronaldo, we know Messi's better than Ronaldo. It's a case.
Before we conclude, do you think Lomachenko was overrated?
No, I don't think it's overrated. I think at that kind of weight, boxing it's more of an art form.
Did he bite off more than he could chew?
No. I think he just was too passive. It was too passive. And this is what people overreact to losses.
They do. It's a bit like you. A bit too much.
I don't overreact to losses.
Microwave error. That's what people
do. Who do I overreact to? I don't overreact to wins. That's what I don't. I'm not there just shouting out everyone that just had a good couple of weeks in the bubble.
What I would say with the overrated thing, if people generally thought he was on the level of Mayweather and Pacquiao, those guys at that point, then yes, he was overrated. But just generally speaking, he's not. He's really an all-time great boxer, but he's not. He wasn't a GOAT level boxer. Like those
obviously,
guys
Lomachenko is. It seems like Lomachenko just fights whoever, anywhere. He seems like a man that would just fight anyone anywhere. I don't think he's really picky about who he fights and the time he fights. On what is because technically, if he picks his fights at the right time, he could be undefeated if he really wants to. Not all his fighters find a way. If he was strategic with who he fights and at the time he fought them, he'll be undefeated. He fought a 23-year-old boxer chomping at the bit, bigger than him.
But the thing is, he had nowhere to go, really. I mean, he has to fight one of these guys.
He has to fight. Look, that's what's happening in this era. It's different.
You had to fight one of these. He hadn't cleaned out divisions. I mean, not divisions. Obviously, I think earlier too, but he hadn't been cleaned out consistently to where he had nowhere to go.
Is this the best weight for him to fight at?
There's guys like this, probably not. I mean, yeah, it's probably not the best division for him to fight.
See, that's well, maybe Floyd is better than him, but at the end of the day, Lomachenko's not overrated.
How many?
Lomachenko's gonna be remembered as an all-time great.
Of course. You know how many divisions Floyd won belts in?
What, 5, 4?
5. Yeah. Do you know how many he was linear with? 4.
Oh wow, man!
It's night and day.
Great.
It's night and day. It's night and day.
When you're fighting fat men like Ricky Hatton.
Ricky Hatton was in the prime of his career and he fought for him. He was undefeated.
Fatty, man.
Don't get twisted. Ricky Hatton was in the prime of his career, bro. He was on par to be basically. I think he might be a top 5 British fighter all the time. He was on par to be maybe even top. Go a bit better if he was able to defeat Floyd. Don't get twisted. He was in the prime. He was in the prime of his career. He was undefeated. I think he was 39-0.
Fury's my.
I remember in primary school.
Fury is my favorite boxer.
I remember in primary school, all the guys were voting for.
Of course, they're gonna vote for Ricky.
And I was like, nah, Floyd.
I don't know. He just did that because he's black.
That's right.
Don't tell me about my guy. Fury's the best boxer right now.
In the whole sport.
He's
not pound for pound.
He's the best boxer right
now.
He's
not pound for pound.
He's the best boxer right now.
The pound for pound guys was top 4 was probably Fury 4th, Canelo, and there's Crawford and there was Lomachenko. The only 3 of those guys you can mix up. Speaking of Crawford, he's going to fight Kell Brook November the 14th.
He beat Kell Brook.
I'm upset because Kell Brook is going to get destroyed. Well, I hope he wins, but his trainers haven't come in. That is crazy. But we'll touch on that in the next episode.
Thank you so much for watching 2 Man Game.
It's been chill. New
sentence.
New beginnings. I
love it.